Hello, my fellow Italian food fanatics. Today, we're going to learn how to make a classic chicken stock. Now, you'll see in the video that I use a pressure cooker. In reality, at the end of it all, I didn't use the pressure cooker feature. I actually left it on the stove and let it slowly bubble away for about 4 hours, which is what you would normally do with a chicken stock. Now, why did I do that? I did that because I want you to know that it doesn't matter what you have in your arsenal. If you have a pot, you can make the chicken stock as well. You don't necessarily have to have a pressure cooker. However, if you do have a pressure cooker or an Instapot, you can make this stock in about 1.5 to 2 hours as opposed to 4 to 6 hours. All right? Now, another thing too is the stock is the basis for everything. It's the basis for all of soups and sauces, and it's extremely important. So it's also important that you learn how to make this, and please don't buy the stock that you find in the regular stores. It's full of salt. It's not made from bones like we're going to make today, okay? Even the bone broth, I don't even understand what bone broth is. A stock is made from bones, and that's the bottom line. This is a newfangled way of trying to market a stock and differentiate it from some other stock, but in my opinion, they're all full of salt. They're the same. They're garbage. Don't be a bonehead and buy bone broth. Make your own stock. Understand what the real thing tastes like, and you'll be better off for it. Your cooking will improve. The flavors of your food will be better. They won't be as salty. It won't be made from a bouillon cube and water like you could normally do. Just go out. You want to make bone broth or chicken stock the way they package it, just go out and buy yourself some bouillon cubes and dilute them with water, and bingo, you've got the same crap in your pot than you do when you buy some sort of chicken stock or a bone broth or whatever crap, although they're pushing on us all today. So please, whatever you do, don't believe the hype. Oh, this is bone broth. Look, broth has been made from boiling or simmering bones for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So don't fall for it. Don't let them push the crap on you. And it is a little more trouble, but I'll tell you what, the results are spectacular. I know you can do it. You can do it better than the restaurants. You can do it better than the supermarkets are going to sell you. You can do it better than all of them. All right? All it takes is a little bit of time. I know time is valuable, but you owe it to yourself. Why get sick while someone else profits from you? Make it yourself. It's better for you. It's better for your family. It's better for your friends. It's better for the environment. It's better for everything. All right, now here we go. Some of it's going to be rhetorical because I'll say the same things that I said right here, but you'll understand. Learn how to make it. It's not that difficult. Very simple. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye. All right, my Italian food fanatics. Right now, we're going to make chicken stock because we're going to use that chicken stock for an onion soup in the future, and also to make sauces and other wonderful things to eat. I'm going to actually do this today in a pressure cooker, believe it or not, because it only takes about an hour and a half to do it. So we're going to take some chicken carcasses that we have butchered and put them in the pot, and then we're going to cover it with cold water. I have some other chicken guts and pieces, not the guts, just the pieces. So we have the wing tips. I've actually even put in a couple of the tenderloins in there too. So we have our chicken, and we're going to cover it now with some water. I'll be back in a second. Okay, my friends, my Italian food fanatics, we have the pot with now water in it. We're going to start the flame. We're going to bring it to a boil, and then we're actually going to drain the water. because what this does when it boils, it takes up all of the impurities with it. So we'll bring it to a boil, quickly turn it off, rinse off the bones, and then we will make our stock in earnest. And so we're a little further along. The initial water is coming to a boil now, and you can start to see the proteins are coming to the top and coagulating. That's why it has that color, that it's kind of milky. But eventually it will come to a boil, and the impurities, or some of the scum and impurities, will come to the top. We'll rinse those all away and then start in, back when it comes to a boil. And now it's slowly coming to a boil. I don't know if you can notice in the light, but right there, it's very difficult to see with the video. You can see right there are some scum and impurities that are coming to the surface. That's exactly what we're trying to get rid of. Back when it boils. See, we're almost there. As you can tell, you see around the rim, let me take you in a little bit more, is all kinds of scum and impurities. And those are what we need to remove before we can make the stock and ensure that it's going to be a clean, nice stock. Be back when it boils. Okay, it's finally come to what I would consider, it is not exactly a rolling boil, but it is up to temperature. And you can see, as I move you in a little bit further again, all of the impurities and the scum that comes onto the chicken. Now what we're going to do, even though a lot of chefs say not to do this, we are going to rinse the chicken off and then start all over again. Look, I'll take you in a little bit further. Look at this scum and this garbage here. This is what we do not want in our stock. So come back in a sec. Okay, now we have it, the stock in the sink, and I am going to rinse these bones off, and we're going to start all over again. And make something that's clean, palatable, and delicious. I'll be back. All right, the chicken has been rinsed off. All of those scum and impurities have been, as much as possible, have been taken off. And now we're going to fill the pot up again with cold water and put it on the fire. And this time, when it comes to a boil, we'll put the top on and we'll cook it for about an hour and a half with some mirepoix and some aromatics. You'll see. We'll be back when we get it on the flame. Okay, we're back on the flame, and we are going to bring this to a boil and add our aromatics and mirepoix, and we should be on our way in about 2 hours to having a wonderful stock. Be back. Okay, now we are going to make our mirepoix. Mirepoix is simply onions, carrots, and celery to put in the stock. I'm going to cut off the less than good pieces there, and we are going to cut this carrot into quarters, and then not finely diced, but we're going to cut everything up a little bit smaller than you normally would. Because we're working in a pressure cooker, we want to expose as much surface area of the vegetables as possible. And the reason for that is because it's going to be cooking under pressure, and we want to get as much flavor out of the vegetables as possible. So between that and the aromatics, which we're going to put together in just a minute, we want to have as much flavor as we can get. And by exposing a greater surface area than we would for a typical stock that's going to go 4 or 5 or 6, sometimes overnight, we do that by cutting everything a little bit smaller than normal. all those pieces will go in, including these papers. That's actually a good thing. And we're going to cut this way. Cut it this way and give it 1 or 2 cuts in this direction. All right? It's no big deal. It doesn't have to be really fine, but typically in a mirepoix, we're going to want to have twice as much onion as carrots and celery. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio. And I'm going to cut this a little bit finer here, like this. And now all of this is going to go into the stock. We'll see you when we put that in. Okay, here we have our aromatics. We have thyme, we have parsley, albeit parsley that I didn't want to use for other things, and then we have bay leaves, and then some peppercorns. We're going to tie these all up and then submerge it in the stock. Okay, what we're going to do is wrap this up and tie it with a little bit of twine here, just like this. And if you go once around, twice around, and tie like this, it will not come apart. And then we have a sachet. All right, we have our mirepoix in there, and then we're going to put our sachet in there as well. And wait for it to come up to a boil so that we can cover it and finish making the stock in earnest. All right, as you can see, the water is coming to a simmer, and now we're going to put the top on and lock it in. And we'll be back in about an hour and a half to 2 hours when the stock is done. And so now the stock is complete, and we'll have to drain it. I'm putting the stock through a chinois. Normally we wouldn't use a chinois. We'd use something a little less thorough, like a china cap. I know that by today's standards it does not sound proper to say china cap, but that's what they're called in the kitchen. It's a more porous strainer than this. This is known as a chinois, which is also making reference to Chinese, Xin. So, but it's French. But it means a little bit, it's a triple layer. So a china cap is something with larger holes in it, whereas a chinois is something that is for fine straining, essentially. And if we were to put cheesecloth in there, it would even be more of a fine strain. So what we're going to do here is slowly drain out the stock, but in such a way that we're not agitating it too much, because what we don't want is the stock to be cloudy. That's the same reason why we didn't boil, or we want to avoid boiling a stock, but rather having it cook or give flavor to the water, the meat to give flavor to the water very, very slowly. Because if you do it that way, the stock will remain clear, or as clear as possible. That way, if we want to make, for example, a consommé from this, it will be a lot easier to make an extremely clear consommé if your original broth is also very, very clear. So let me drain this, and then we're going to have to cool it down. We're going to cool it down in an ice bath. We have to bring the temperature down as fast as possible, because if we don't, we risk foodborne illness, and anything between 40 degrees and 140 degrees, it is what is known as being in the danger zone. And so with the stock, we have to be very, very careful, and we have to bring it down under 40 degrees as fast as possible, and we do that with an ice bath. So I'll be back when we're going to do the ice bath. Now we have the sink, and we're going to refill it with ice. And I'm going to add a little bit of water in here to create an ice bath. We'll be back when I put the stock in. And so now the stock is in, and I am starting to stir the stock itself as the water around it fills up, the ice water around it fills up. And the reason why we do this is because we want to agitate and move the stock around in the ice water, and what that will do is will cool the stock down a little bit faster. Okay, so we're almost to the same level as the stock with the water. We'll turn that off, and we will continue to stir this until it has come down to below 40 degrees. And then we'll put it in the refrigerator. Now I'm not going to, typically we would skim the fat off the top, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, and I'm going to wait until tomorrow to remove the gullibles of fat that will have solidified on top of the stock. And so there we go. That's how you make a chicken stock. Now a lot of people also will add salt to the stock at this point, and I won't do that. The reason for that is because we could be using it in a variety of different applications, and by adding salt now and then having to reduce the stock later, we will end up making it too salty. So, in my opinion, you should not salt the stock. You should just leave it as is. It's a very, very light chicken flavor to begin with. We don't want to embellish it or do anything. Essentially, we want to leave it a blank canvas for future dishes. So there we go. That's how to make a chicken stock in the mostly traditional way.